Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Big Idea. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Jason Seymour, and I'm your host today. I'm the spokesperson for the U.S. mission to ASEAN. We have a very special program for you today. We are focused on female genital cutting, also called female genital mutilation. We wanted to have this show for several reasons. One is that February 6th is an internationally recognized day. Let me get the name of that day correct. It is the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. Obviously, this is a very important day because it touches on a value of the United States, as well as Southeast Asia, and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And that is, how do we protect the rights of our children? How do we protect the rights of girls and women? And this is a topic that touches on all of those things. Before I introduce our guest, I just want to say that a lot has happened over the last 100 years, and a lot has happened over the last 15 years. So in 2010, ASEAN created a commission on the promotion and protection of the rights of women and children. In 2013, ASEAN adopted a declaration on the elimination of violence against children. Two very important, noteworthy dates. And of course, the United States wants to continue to contribute in any way that we can to promote the rights of children and women and work with ASEAN to do so. And that is why we are focused on this very important issue today. So let me introduce our special guest, Nur Rofiah. Please join the program.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. It really is a pleasure to talk to you because you have a lot of knowledge on this important topic.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get started from the beginning. There is this term, female genital mutilation. I've also seen the term female genital cutting. What is this concept? Please share with our audience, what is FGM or FGC?
Yes. So FGM is a kind of action that mutilates the outside of the vagina. There are many kinds of the action. And we started that this kind of action is danger from the traditions that mutilate or cutting all vagina, the outside of vagina. That's why we call it as mutilation. But then we know that we also find other traditions that doesn't mutilate all the vagina, but some of them. So we then realize that the harmful action to vagina is not limited to mutilation, but only cutting. And then we also realize that the dangerous action to vagina is not only mutilation and cutting, but any action that make the vagina painful, even it is not by mutilation or cutting. For example, only by infliction. That any action that make vagina painful and have a short and long impact to the reproductive system of female. This is what we realize, that the same action to the reproductive organ, like penis and vagina, the same action is not always give the same impact. Like FGM, for example, it is different between cutting to vagina and cutting to penis, because the standard of operational is different. Standard of procedure. We find the action of, we call it actually khitan. Khitan is a belief in Islam to cut penis or vagina. But we realize that we need to be aware that penis and vagina is different in form and function. Because of that, then the same action like khitan to male and female, even the action is seems same action, but the impact can be very different. And in general, khitan for male is very useful, uh, and for women is really dangerous.
Well, let's unpack the biology for a moment. Let's talk about the female reproductive organs. Can the cutting of her vagina be beneficial physically? Because some people believe that it has a biological benefit, but scientists generally say that it doesn't. What does your research show?
Yes, our research shows that the medical research is true, because, for example, the reproductive system of male and female is very different. I will show you how big the difference are. Male's reproductive systems only has roles, so the body of male only produce sperm in the reproduction, but female reproductive organ will make woman experiencing menstruation. It is in week, and producing sperm is only in minutes, even seconds, and the impact is happiness. You can imagine what happened when women experience menstruation. It is not in minutes, but weeks, sometimes 2 weeks. And the impact is painful. And the second one is pregnancy. It is in months, 9 months, not only minutes or seconds, and the impact is also painful. And then giving birth. And then postnatal bleeding. It can be 2 months. And then breastfeeding. It can be in 2 years. And these all female reproductive roles, the female bodily experiences is long time, and the impact is painful, and even painful, over painful, or multiple painful. So we need all of the female reproductive organs in the complete and perfect conditions. And we need to know that the penis and vagina is different in form. When male do khitan, it is not meat that they cut, what you call it, it is in English. It is kind of skin, not meat. But vagina has no any skin that you can cut without meat. So any cutting to any action, any action that make vagina painful, it can be only infliction, and then cutting or mutilation. It will give a very different impact to the quality of female reproductive health. And khitan for male, it can increase. Male can have benefit from the action, but for female, due to the system and the role of the vagina, we need a perfect vagina to give him birth. Yeah, and male don't have male doesn't have experience in giving birth. So let's be aware that the same action like khitan to male and female, because of the different system of reproduction, will give different impact. So and also socially, as you mentioned, the khitan of female, there is no SOP, because medical faculty, for example, they don't have that because they don't recognize female khitan. But male khitan, medical faculty, they teach this. They teach the SOP. So, and the male khitan is mostly same method. But for female khitan, there is no SOP, and then we can find different methods of khitan. So this is even more dangerous, because then people think that the khitan of male and female are same in method, in the recognition of medical word, for example, but in fact, it is not. In fact, it is not. So it is important for us, including as Muslim, to know this fact, so they can think that the different impact should be considered by them before doing any khitan to female.
That was absolutely fascinating. There were so many interesting points you made there about the difference in biology. I do want to add that when I've researched this issue, I've found considerable debate about the medical benefits for cutting male genitalia or performing a circumcision. There's back and forth and lots of discussion. But when it comes to the cutting of female genitalia, it's basically universal. It's not biologically beneficial. There is no health benefit for the woman ever to do this. And as you were saying, it can be painful and create many long-term complications.
Yes.
But I do want to touch on what you were saying at the end. Although FGM is certainly not exclusive to Muslim communities, there are many Muslim communities that practice FGM. So what does Islam Sharia say about FGM?
Yes. If we say something according to Islam, actually we refers to the Qur'anic verses, for example, or prophet sayings, and also Muslim scholars' opinions. And if we see the Qur'anic verses, there is no any single verses that ask us to do female khitan. The first that they use as the foundation of the argumentation is follow the Prophet Abraham. But actually, this verse is not explained about khitan at all. It is about monotheism, the message of monotheism, and also the message of pilgrimage in Mecca, for example. But they then also have argumentation based on prophet sayings. There are about 5 prophet sayings mentioned about female khitan. But if we understand critically to the text, there is no single prophet sayings that ask us to do female khitan. So it is only mentioned as something that is known in society. So there is no intent to order Muslim to do female khitan. And how about the Muslim scholars' opinions? There are many. There are diversity among Muslim opinion, starting from they said that it is prohibitions for female until it is haram. So from wajib prohibition until haram. Haram is you cannot do that. So and the last fatwa that we find, for example, the fatwa in Egypt as Muslim countries, Azhar Muslim scholars is prohibit female khitan. So they said that there is no any strong argumentation based on Qur'anic verses or hadith that female khitan is allowed in Islam. It is not a part of Sharia, but it is a part of tradition.
And speaking of tradition, although there is a tradition of cutting male genitalia as well, do you think that there's something misogynistic, something specific about trying to control women or control girls, control feminine sexuality? Is there an element of that in this practice?
Yes, we believe that even there is a same tradition of male khitan and female khitan, but the history is very different, because the history of male khitan, it is about the purity, pure relation between man and God only. So it is connected with the relation between human and God, man and God, male and God. But in the female khitan, there is so difference, because it is not only connected with the relation between woman and God, but also between woman and man. So there is such traditions that control woman sexuality, and they believe that if a woman doesn't do khitan, then woman is not a good woman, because they cannot control sexuality, and then they will have any sex relationship with any man. This is a such belief. So this is also, we can also find this kind of value within Indonesian societies, and it is a big reason why Muslim societies still practice this kind of traditions, even when we said to them, for example, that there is no such strong argumentation based on Islam, but it is hard for them to against tradition, and especially traditions that is legitimized by religion.
That's an excellent point about tradition, and it must be very difficult to talk to a parent, talk to a father, a mother, and say, you shouldn't do this to your children, because those parents are going to say, well, my My parents did it to me.
Yeah.
My grandparents did it to them. So what kind of messages have you observed to be effective to change people's minds? Because these traditions are very set in certain communities.
Based on our experiences, knowledge is powerful to change their mind. For example, to understand the different reproductive system between male and female, knowledge on this, and how hard the role of woman in reproductions compared to male. Can you imagine if someone said that I want to have 15 children? What does it mean to male, to husband? It means that they only need to produce sperm 15 times and with the 15 happiness. But it is, at the same time, what does it mean to woman, to female? It means that they need to 15 times pregnant, 15 times giving birth, 15 times also nifas or experiencing postnatal bleeding, and then also 15 times breastfeeding. After understanding this fact, this reality, and having this kind of knowledge, most people, most religious leaders, they can understand that the impact of female and male khitan is very different, and it is painful for both. But the pain that experiences by male give benefit to them in long term, because it supports to the increasing the reproductive quality to male. But to female, it's just the opposite. It is dangerous and it is harmful. Even in Qur'anic verses, for example, Quran said that the experience of pregnancy until breastfeeding is an experience that is called wahnan. It is tiring. Experience that tire a woman. And Quran also said that reproductive role of woman is something wahnan ala wahnin, multiple, tiring and painful. So we talk to people, Muslim society and leaders. If Quran already said it is the tiring experiences, multiple painful experiences, and then what is our responsibility? Our responsibility is to reduce the pain of the reproductive experiences of female. It is our obligation. It is our obligation to help a woman to experience their reproductive roles in a less painful condition. And I said that it is a mandate. It is a mandate of Islam to thank female because of their role of reproduction, and how to thank female because of their reproduction is to make sure that they will experience that kind of reproductive roles in an easier and comfortable situation or condition.
I think that you put that very well. I think when men think about the fact that for them, producing children is generally maybe 30 minutes of pleasure and then it's done.
Yes.
But for the woman, it's a huge, month-long process involving a lot of biological changes that can be quite discomforting. And then if you add the situation, if a woman has experienced FGM, it's going to be so much more difficult for her, so much more painful. And why would any father want that for his daughter? Why would any husband want that for his wife? Now, unfortunately, though, there are women who support this practice as well. But I think that's because of what you were saying earlier, because of tradition. How do you, and they're worried, as you were saying earlier, that their daughters will be perceived as not a good wife or not worthy of being married if she hasn't had this procedure.
Yes.
What kind of messages do you give to women?
We said that the safety, the security, the health of women is also the mandate of Islam to guarantee. So in Islam, we have the concept of the purpose of Sharia, the purpose of Islamic teachings. And they are some of them are protecting life or hifdun nafas, and also protecting hifdun nasl, protecting the what you call it, that is including the reproductive system. So then we asked them, do you prefer to follow tradition that is there is no foundation in Islam, or will you follow Islamic teachings that order us to protect human, including women? So we also need to be critical to actually not only to traditions, but also to Islamic interpretation, and especially to traditions that is legitimate by the biased Islamic interpretation. So I think women need to have awareness that the experience of women is also valid as knowledge, because they mostly depend on others' opinion, and others' opinion mostly doesn't recognize the specific experiences of women that men doesn't have. We know that the male domination in traditions and also in religions interpretation is very high. So we need to convince women based on their experiences that Islam order goodness. We need to treat human and also to be treated as human each other, so including women, but never use male as a single standard of female's humanity, because we have many similar experiences. We have many similar in bodily experiences, but we also have different experiences and different conditions as human. So stop using men or male as a single standard of female, standard of female's humanity. And this is very important in the khitan or female genital mutilation and cutting. Don't think that if it is good for male, then it will be always good for woman. And in this case, it's just the opposite.
And you've expressed that so well, and in particular, earlier in the conversation, that the bodies of males, the bodies of females, they're not the same. So it might seem like you're doing a similar procedure, but because the makeup, in this case of genitalia, is so different, it's not the same. It might look the same, you might look the same, use the same instruments, it's not the same.
Not.
Well, I have so many more questions I could ask, but unfortunately we're going to have to wrap up. But I do want to ask a couple more questions, and that is, for people who are really interested in this topic, what are some good resources? I was looking online, and I'm aware of an organization called Asia Pacific Resource and Research Center for Women. It's called ARO. It's in Malaysia. There's also the Asia Network to End FGM, FGC. What are some great organizations that you recommend people research and look for online?
Yes, I think first, of course, the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection. They started to focus on these issues, and they also have many modules, books, and also videos that enlightening us. And also, I think Kalyana Mitra also focus on these issues, and Yayasan Kesehatan Perempuan or YKP in Indonesia also a long time concern on these issues. They have many literatures and also researches on this.
Excellent, thank you. And of course, I invite our audience, if you know of an organization or a group, or you have your own group, I invite you to put comments below so that we can all learn about different people. If you know of a great lecturer, and anything you want to share with us, please put them in the comments below, because we all have to work together to end this practice of female genital cutting. So
there is one organization I forgot.
Please.
If you want to know the perspective of Islam, that based on women's experiences, including in these issues, please go to Jaringan Ulama Kongres Ulama Perempuan Indonesia, or the network of Indonesian Women's Ulama Congress. I think we can refer to this organization so much.
Excellent, fantastic. And just at the end here, you are from Indonesia. This is where you're doing a lot of your work. You're very passionate. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you'd like to give a short message in Bahasa Indonesia to the people of Indonesia, if you'd like to make a comment about this important topic in your own language, I give you the opportunity.
Thank you. Bapak Ibu sekalian, mari kita sadari bahwa laki-laki dan perempuan sama-sama manusia, dua-duanya harus bersikap dan diperlakukan secara manusiawi, tetapi cara memperlakukan laki-laki dan perempuan secara manusiawi mesti mempertimbangkan perbedaan di samping persamaan. Perempuan punya sistem reproduksi yang sangat panjang sekali, menstruasi, hamil, melahirkan, nifas, dan menyusui. Laki-laki hanya mengeluarkan sperma. Maka mari sadari, khitan meskipun sama-sama memotong alat kelamin, dampaknya sangat berbeda sekali. Bagi laki-laki bermanfaat, sementara bagi perempuan sangat berbahaya karena fungsi reproduksinya yang sangat beragam. Terima kasih, mudah-mudahan kita dapat menjalankan amanah Islam untuk memperlakukan laki-laki dan perempuan secara manusiawi. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Nur. You gave us such great insights. You really made me think. I've discussed this issue many times, and I heard new points from you. So thank you so much. And thank you to our audience for joining us, whether you joined us live or you've joined us for the recording. I hope you'll add some comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts about FGM, and if you're doing anything on this important issue, maybe we can support you. We have lots of grants opportunities, and we can put you in contact with lots of wonderful people that we know who are working diligently on this issue. So thanks so much for joining us. I hope you join us for our next episode. Thank you so much. And until the next time, bye-bye, everyone.